Hey, welcome. Today we are diving into something that is, I think, one of the most powerful psychological concepts out there, especially for our spiritual lives. We're going to be talking about your relational blueprint.
I mean, really think about it for a second. Do you find yourself getting into relationships and just constantly feeling afraid that the other person's going to leave? You need a ton of reassurance? Or, hey, maybe you're on the complete other side of the spectrum. You feel totally suffocated when someone gets too close, and your first instinct is to pull away and get some space.
Well, if you're seeing a pattern like that pop up over and over again, it is definitely not a coincidence. And it's not just some random personality quirk. It's what's called your attachment style. Think of it like this invisible blueprint, one that was formed way, way back in your childhood, and it shapes how you connect with basically everyone. Your friends, your family, your partner, and yeah, even how you relate to God.
So where does this whole idea come from? Well, it's rooted in something called attachment theory. A psychologist named John Bowlby was the pioneer here, and his work gives us this incredible map to understand these relational patterns that we all have.
Okay, so take a look at this. This really simplifies two of the most common insecure styles we see. On one side, you've got the chase. This is that anxious style, and it's driven by this really deep fear of being left alone. And then on the other side, you've got the withdrawal. This is the avoidance style, which tends to see intimacy as kind of suffocating, like a loss of freedom, and so they pull away to feel safe. Do either of those sound a little familiar to you?
Now, those two patterns we just saw, they fit into this bigger framework of four main styles. So first up is secure. This comes from a core belief that you are fundamentally safe and loved, and it just makes connection with others feel pretty natural. Then you have the anxious style, which we saw, fearing abandonment and often needing a lot of reassurance. Next is the avoidance style, which operates from this belief that I have to rely on myself, and that often leads to being emotionally distant. And finally, there's the fearful avoidance style, which is, well, it's a really confusing mix. These folks deeply want connection, but at the same time, they're terrified of it. So you get this constant push-pull dynamic. Okay, now listen, if you recognized yourself in one of those insecure styles, this next part is maybe the most important thing you'll hear today. These are not permanent labels. They're not life sentences. They are simply learned patterns from your past. And the good news is, anything that has been learned can be unlearned. It can be rewritten. There is so much hope for change here.
So, the big question is, how do we start to change that blueprint? Well, this is where our faith gives us such a powerful path forward. See, if our early life experiences created an insecure blueprint, what we need is a new, perfectly secure model to learn from. And the Bible presents God as that ultimate, perfect, secure base.
So what does a secure attachment figure actually look like? Well, first, they are available. They're present. This verse from Hebrews is a direct promise that counters that core fear of abandonment. Unlike people who might fail us or leave, God's promise is one of constant presence. He will never leave. Okay, second, a secure base is consistent. Our human relationships can be so up and down, right? So unpredictable. But this verse shows us God's unwavering nature. His love, his character, it doesn't change based on his mood or how well we're performing. He is completely reliable.
And third, a secure base is a safe haven. When we are distressed, when we're in trouble, we need a place to go for comfort and for protection. And this verse just beautifully illustrates that God isn't just hanging around. He is actively our refuge, our strength, a very present help right when we need him most.
So when we start to combine these truths, we can begin this incredible process that psychologists call earned secure attachment. This is where we consciously choose to internalize God's perfect, available, consistent love. And over time, this process actually helps heal those old relational wounds and can literally, on a neurological level, start to rewire our brains to operate from a brand new, secure blueprint.
Now, this whole idea of earned secure attachment is amazing, but it's not magic. It doesn't just happen. It requires some intentional practice. So let's break down 3 really practical steps you can start taking to actively rewire your relational blueprint.
All right, it's a 3-part process. First, you have to identify. You have to get really honest about how you project your old fears onto God. If you have an anxious style, do you secretly see him as someone who's easily disappointed in you, always ready to walk away? Second, you challenge. When that feeling or that lie pops up, you have to fight it with the truth. Use the scriptures we just looked at to actively argue against the lie that God is distant or unreliable. And third, you practice. This is about actively learning to co-regulate with God. Through things like prayer or meditating on the Psalms, you can literally calm your own nervous system in his presence, training your heart and your mind to trust that he is safe and he is consistent.
Understanding how all of this connects, the psychology and the faith, it isn't just some interesting intellectual exercise. It is a real, profound path to healing.
Learning about your attachment style is not about finding a new flaw in yourself to obsess over. Not at all. It's about giving yourself compassion for why you struggle in relationships sometimes. It gives you a roadmap for healing. And that allows you to grow closer to other people and, most importantly, to grow more deeply into a secure, unshakable relationship with your Creator. So, I want to leave you with a little challenge to take with you this week. What is one lie that your old blueprint tells you about God? Maybe that He's distant, that He's angry. And then, what is one single truth from Scripture that you can hold on to challenge that lie this week?